week 3 of the SmashUp review, or I guess what are we calling it now, Owen? Haibo does data? Is that
You won't let me. Brett, I need your opinion here.
yeah.
Does the name, so Smash Cards, right? This is a game with cards. How does Card Sharp sound to you?
I love that.
Dude, is
I
that
love
not spot on?
Yeah, card like you play on the card shark. Uh,
Dude, it's gold. To be a
yeah.
sharp, and they don't like it. They're shooting me down. They want Haibo does data.
I do not want Haibo does data.
So a Debbie
Everybody
does Dallas riff as opposed to the card shark. Okay, got it.
everybody else on the team wants Haibo does data, but I'm good with card sharp. It's just I'm not a gambler. I never heard the term sharp before, but if it resonates, I'm certainly willing to go with it.
Haibo smashes data. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if that's any better.
You're still towing a
Um,
line there, Brett.
yeah. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. As you see on the call, we have Brett Lanier joining us this week. Brett is he's an expert. He's a stalwart in the field. In our industry and pros league, he is, or in our expert league, he is currently 4th, but has the overall leading player points.
Number one in
So
points. I haven't figured out the cards yet. As soon as I do, watch out. Happy learns
it's
the putt.
over.
You guys are going down.
And in the weekly tournament last week, he finished in the money. He finished 9th overall out of almost 1,500. So great job there. Brett is also the CEO and founder of Better Vision. Brett, do you want to tell us a little bit about Better Vision and how people can go sign up?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, Better Vision's an account aggregator. So if you are like me, in a lot of fantasy leagues, I'm in 49. Maybe if you're only in
Wow.
3 or 4, still useful. But it allows you to connect all your accounts so you can track all your fantasy scores, all your sports bets, any daily fantasy contest you have, kind of all in one place in a single dashboard. It's free to download. Currently on Apple. We're hoping this Google version comes out in the next week or 2.
Awesome. So yeah, if you get a chance, go sign up for Better Vision, and yeah, let's jump into it. So week 3, Owen, thoughts
All right.
on week 3?
All right, here we go. So I got about 4 or 5 bullets. So everyone buckle up, sit back. Great week, right? Andy Dalton comes in, and now the Panthers have a win. That's amazing. And I will shout out to Bryce Young. He's being a pro about this, taking ownership. We will see him again. Got 5 undefeateds left. That's pretty exciting. I'm not going to talk about J.K. Dobbins and Jamison Williams. They both failed me. It was about time they did, but I'm still holding out. Thing everyone was waiting here. Our rookie quarterback touchdown drought is over. Twofold, right? Caleb gets 2, Jaden gets 2. I'll come back to Bo Nix here in a second. Special shout out to Jaden. He was throwing darts. And I'm not talking about the darts I throw after 13 PBRs at 1:30 in the morning. This was legit PDC darts. And I mean, that ball was humming. He looked amazing. And now back to Bo Nix. So my betting rant of the week, we talked about Harrison, 4.5, killing me. Bo Nix, Vegas loved him to get his first touchdown. I had it in way too many parlays. Bo Nix did not get his first passing touchdown. So that was a bummer.
Got his rushing one though.
He sure did. He sure did.
I think he was looking to pass, and in the pass, he just they were covering him. They didn't fear his speed.
It's painful stuff.
Brett, any thoughts on week 3 on your end?
Yeah, week 3 went exactly as I expected. I definitely picked the Commanders to beat the Bengals and Andy Dalton to blow up the league and be the best quarterback in the NFL. It was as expected. The Rams with no offensive line or offensive weapons outside of Kyren to beat the 49ers, right? Like exactly as I predicted. So yeah, no real surprises. No, it was been a very weird season. Not just week 3, all 3 weeks. Sam Darnold, is leading the league.
Is he the best quarterback in the league?
Yeah, it's so weird. The tight end position I can't figure out like at all. This week it was Dallas Goedert. Week 1 it was Isaiah Likely. I can't remember who week 2 was. Like it's
Bowers,
I think Bowers maybe.
Yeah.
It's none of the guys we expected for the most part. It's just been a weird season.
Is Trey McBride still in the league? I don't know if I've even seen a single thing about him, right? Laporta, same thing. It's just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, that's actually a great segue to kind of let's see what people thought. And so let's jump over and let's take a look. So this is a summary of all the data that we saw over week 3 in SmashUp. We had again over 2,000 lineups between the weekly tournament and
Haibo,
the
right
league
now
play.
it's your resume on the screen.
Is it really?
Just kidding. It just says SmashUp Sports.
Oh, great. Nope, that's correct.
Okay, I was worried. Normally we got that beautiful spreadsheet up.
Well, so I'm
We've
trying
gone
something
high-tech.
new. Try something new. We're gonna put everything in one place this time. So here is, the top selected players out of over 2,000 lineups last week. Interesting that you brought up Trey McBride. He was the number 2 picked tight end last week. So people are waiting for him to break out of whatever funk he's in. Again, you still see kind of a lot of the budget going towards that running back, wide receiver list. Defenses, a lot of people, and we'll see later, a lot of people pick the Browns. A lot of people pick the Browns. A lot of people pick the Raiders, and the Niners as well. So definitely some misses there.
Tampa was a shock. I had a lot. I was Seattle and Tampa pretty heavy last week.
Mm-hmm. Anything else that kind of jumps out at you from any of this?
I'd say the one thing that gets me as interested here is the quarterbacks. You've got a good mix of kind of more pocket passers, but then the running, 3 and 2. You got Kyler, Josh, and Lamar, and then Burrow and Carr. That's an interesting split. I don't know that we've seen that dynamic yet.
To me, that makes sense a lot because I've been targeting, the Eagles' pass defense and the Commanders' pass defense with my quarterbacks, and so that's Burrow and Carr. And then the other 3 are your big 3 running and passing quarterbacks. So, I think that makes sense. The Carr Eagles thing did not work out.
Nope.
But Burrow had a pretty good game.
Yeah. Moving on to cards. These are the top 10 selected cards last week. Again, we're going to see Human Vulture at the top. I think Human Vulture was number 1 in week 1, number 2 in week 2, and now jumping back up to number 1. The main reason here is because it's 1,000, right? It's 1,000. It costs you 1,000. So people set their other stuff. They have 1,000 left over, and they throw Human Vulture in there. So we'll probably always see Human Vulture near the top. It's the other stuff that I think is pretty interesting. We're going to come back and talk a lot about Cannon Arm a little bit later, but you definitely see kind of a good mix here. One thing that I think is interesting is the first couple weeks we saw a ton of just stacking 3 or 4 defense cards on defenses and hoping that carries you. That has started to go away. I think out of the top 20 teams this past week, only like 3 or 4 of them stack defenses. Others really spread it out, and that's fantastic. We want to see kind of different cards being played, but this is kind of what we're seeing from a top cards perspective. This is interesting. So combos. These are your top 10 combos of people playing. It's pretty concentrated. People really liked that Browns defense, and people really liked Kamara. That's and I guess Jordan Mason too.
I guess
Mason,
after a 4 touchdown performance, it's hard to ignore Kamara, but you're not going to repeat it.
No. I think we've seen this almost every week where people are chasing because last week it was who was it? Week 1 it was CMC because everyone thought it was going to be CMC. Week 2 was who was it? Week 2.
It wasn't Isaiah Likely.
It wasn't Likely. I forget. It was one of the other running backs, but
Saquon after his 3 touchdown performance week 1?
It might have been Saquon. Yeah. It might have been Saquon. And yeah, unfortunate here for the Cleveland defense folks. But yeah, so those are some of the big ones that we saw.
Mason bell cow is interesting. Just after Jacobs had gone wild the week before, to use it on Mason as the highest is kind of interesting.
Well, I think there it's you've got both Debo and Kittle out. You expected really heavy usage with Mason and Ayuk.
Everyone didn't expect Juwan
everything with the Jennings.
Jennings, what a week! What a week from him.
Beautiful.
All right, let's go and take a look at some of the actual lineups. So since we have Brett on the phone, Brett, why don't you talk us through your ninth place finish?
Oh, great team name. Also, now knowing your company, that's beautiful.
Thank you. That was not the original plan when naming it, but as I started my fantasy season, my first year, I was like, oh, why don't I go with this? Obviously, with the Cowboys' lack of a run defense was very high on Lamar and Derek this week. Considered only picking one of them, obviously going with Derrick Henry and then maybe either Burrow stacking with Chase or Kyler Murray or something, but decided to keep both of them. I thought they'd both be heavily used. Worked out. Again, same thing we talked about before. Jordan Mason because of Debo and Kittle being out. Luckily, I put in Juwan Jennings as my other receiver. Awesome. Jamar Chase, I thought was going to have a huge breakout game. I honestly thought he might have 3 touchdowns and bet that last night. Only got 2/3 of the way there, unfortunately. But still, good game. Diggs, I thought with oh my God, blanking.
I think you put Speed Demon, or no, not so wide receiver, which hit. He did not get a touchdown, so it doubles his points or doubles his receiving points or receiving yards.
Yeah, for Diggs, I was thinking Joe Mixon being out and who's their backup? Deontay Foreman, I think, or it was Cam Akers, right? It was a decision of do I start Cam Akers as a running back, or do I think they maybe instead of using the run game, they use the short passing game and Diggs out of the slot as kind of like their run game, which is what kind of happened that week. And so I was like, I think touchdown wise might go to Nico or Dell, but I think Diggs is going to get a lot of work in the middle of the field. Luckily, that one actually hit with both the card and the player. Was obviously again wrong with the tight end and kicker. But I was thinking with Steelers, good defense, Dicker would probably get a lot of work. I didn't think with the Chargers quarterback being injured, they would probably be able to move the ball that well. So I thought, probably a lot of field goals that in that game. And then big fan of Seattle's defense so far. Much better than I expected coming in the season. But that was kind of it. I can't remember the other card I used in this game.
So you used Hall of Fame quarterback.
Wow.
10 grand on it, and what a call. I mean, I think you're one of the first kind of top 10 finishes with Hall of Fame quarterback. Playing Hall of Fame quarterback on the right quarterback can be a week winner. And certainly, I mean, with that card, you're getting 65 points on Lamar, which is huge. So fantastic.
Brad. So sorry, Haibo, but Brad, I'm fascinated to always look at this. So hindsight 2020, but if you had hey, I'm struggling with tight ends, struggling with kickers, if you'd left them out and kind of bumped up a running back or a different receiver, you think you could have kind of hit by leaving those positions blank this week? I just think that's such an interesting strategy to leave out a player or two.
I don't know. I've never tried that before. I actually didn't know if that was an option.
Yeah, it is.
Love them. I don't know if it would have worked all that well this week. The one change I may have made would have probably been bumping up Jordan Mason for, using that salary towards someone like Saquon or somebody like that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in love with a lot of the running backs this week. Honestly, I thought there was more of an ability to play down the running back position and look at guys at cheaper salaries like potentially Cam Akers or guys like that I could pay up a little more for, my elite running back, quarterback, and wide receiver with Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
So
Great lineup.
let's actually take a look at so just by the way, I want to just point out this is probably one of my favorite usernames. Hey, our players, Jerry Jones. Whoever that is, reach out to us. I would love to know who you are, but that's a fantastic name for your team. I wanted to look specifically at Jackie Boy here, who is in 6. And when you talk about not loving running backs,
Wow.
he basically took the exact opposite approach and was like, I'm going to load up because look at his team. I mean, he got 6th overall with his defense scoring 1 point.
Yeah.
His wide receiver here, Jameson Williams, scoring 0.2. And basically like nothing from his receivers.
Yeah.
Where he hit on his all 3 running backs, and he played the field card. So first he played hurricane season, where all running backs get a 1.5x and all receiver tight ends get a 0.5. So you basically cut your receiving points in half and bump up your running back. Lucky for him, his receivers didn't do anything. So great play there. And then Hellacious Hellbacks, his quarterback, basically Mahomes gets nuked to basically 0. And then his running backs get a further bonus. So he basically played 2, running back powering cards and just happened to hit on the 3 top running backs this week.
Crazy.
That was a ballsy play.
That's wild.
Which, that kind of leads me to something which, when we think about basically going for it, and I think this is where it's like super interesting to think about. When we talk about cards, I think generally speaking, we're thinking about cards in terms of weekly, right? In terms of how do you win this week? But a lot of our players play in league as well. And in league, if you're kind of looking to maximize your score over the course of a season, I think you approach cards a little bit different. I don't know if you guys knew this. I actually, one of my other side gigs is I teach analytics in a master's program here in DePaul. And one of the things I always like to talk to people about is like understanding variance, right? And like, we talk about kind of, variance, standard deviation, those types of things, and it gets confusing. But the way I always like to explain it is almost in terms of March Madness, right? Imagine you have 2 teams that are exactly 500 teams, right? Except team 1 goes win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. And team 2 goes win, 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 loss, 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 right? Both of them end up with the same record. But if you had to pick one of those teams for March Madness, like which team do you want? You want the streaky one, exactly, right? You want the team that, can potentially blow up and go 7 or 8 wins in a row and kind of give you the whole thing. And I think that's the thing with weekly where, you want that variance. You want to take big bets because it doesn't help you if you like do really well, right? You don't want to do really well. You want to win. If you don't win, right, you kind of finish out of the money and it's not as much. For league, I feel like it's almost exactly the opposite, right? You want to kind of do well every single week because
you need a high floor.
Exactly. You need a high floor, and by just doing better than average every single week means you're going to win at the end of at the end of the year. And I think this now comes back to one of the cards that I really want to kind of talk about this week, which is this pair. Cannon Arm and Scramble Spikes. They basically they're both played on the quarterback, and they kind of do opposite things, right? Scramble Spikes basically takes your passing yards and touchdowns down to nothing. You're losing 75% of those. But all rushing yards and touchdowns get a 2.5x. Versus for Cannon Arm, it's the opposite, right? Rushing and all your rushing stats get cut in half, and your passing stats get a bump. Not quite as much, 1.5 instead of 2.5, and it costs a little bit more. And we saw Cannon Arm as one of the top 10 cards played. Scramble Spikes, though, I mean, this is the card, like, let's take a look at Scramble Spikes. This is the points from this week. You had Lamar and, Lamar, Malik, and Bo Nix at the top. But look at that drop off, right? Like, yeah, if you played Scramble Spikes on Lamar, you would have done well. In terms of the dollar value, you would have done well. A lot of people still played it on Jaden because in week 1, it went off for 25 points. So you get those huge weeks with Scramble Spikes. But look at that drop off. Outside the top 3, 4 and 5 basically gets you nothing. Everything past 5 is 0 or negative. You could have lost points if you played this for, on your quarterback. Versus, say, this is Cannon Arm. It costs a little bit more. These are your top, Andy Dalton leading the way. Andy Dalton, Burrow, Darnold, Josh Allen, Caleb Williams. There were no negative cards. This basically, you were getting 8 or 7 points down like 10, 15 quarterbacks deep. You're almost always, especially some quarterbacks, they're just never going to run, right? They're pocket passers. They're not that mobile to begin with. Like, they're just never going to run. I always like to say this card was made for Tom Brady. This was like the Tom Brady card, but I don't know. Owen, do you have any any thoughts specifically on these two cards? How you would go about it?
No, I mean, you nailed it. I mean, the Cannon Arm feels like kind of a league card, and then Scramble Spikes is going to be a tournament winner in the weekly. I can tell you, I don't know if I'd ever paid too much attention to Cannon Arm, but yeah, this one makes a lot of sense. I'm probably going to play it this week. So thanks for highlighting this one.
Who do you like? Who do you like with Cannon Arm this week?
Man, there's a lot of rivalry games. I'm curious if I can play it in like the Vikings, Packers, or Cowboys, Giants, Saints, Falcons. It could be a good kind of Kirk Cousins card, and is one of those guys in that game. Maybe Cousins, because he's not scrambling, at all. There's no running. I don't think we're going to see a 15-12 game in that Saints Falcons game. So I'd probably throw it on Cousins this week.
Yeah, coming off kind of ACL. Was it ACL or
Achilles?
I think it was
Achilles. Yeah. Brad, how about you? Any
This week, so my favorite matchups, the Cardinals Commanders one, obviously wouldn't use it there because both mobile quarterbacks. After that, maybe in the Lions Seahawks game, maybe Geno or Jared Goff. The Seahawks defense is playing well, so I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I think Kirk Cousins in that Saints Falcons game might make sense. The Eagles Bucks game again, maybe Baker.
Yeah.
Maybe this was a one-off game for Baker, and I still keep targeting that Eagles defense. But again, they held the Saints to almost no points this week, so it's a risk. But I kind of like it for Baker this week. That might be.
I wanted someone to say Andy Dalton. Maybe you were going to say that, Haibo. He's going to catch that lightning.
Yeah, Red Rocket. I like Dalton. I like Dalton.
That's a great
all right. Well, before we go, any takes? One take for this week, unrelated.
Card based or just in general?
Anything.
I think there's a lot of opportunity for the special teams ace card with the new kickoff rules. We're seeing that. I don't know if you play in Scott Fishbowl, but if you play in a league where the returners get return yards, seeing a lot of yards there. So You can get guys that are like Trey Tucker, Turpin, or guys that are like fourth or fifth receivers that are very cheap, and that card's not that expensive. And if they have a big game, especially where the score's being run up on them and they're getting 5 or 6 returns of 25 yards each, there's a lot of opportunity there. So something that I'm targeting for sure.
Nice.
That's
Awesome.
great.
Owen?
I think I'm going to probably look a lot at quarterback stacks this week. I just feel like we've had such a down year. The explosion's coming. We started seeing it. I mean, we're going to start seeing more 300 passing yards. We got 4 touchdowns out of, Allen. I mean, there was just, it's coming. And I think stacking kind of that, I don't know if I can go Hall of Fame, but at least all pro and maybe cannon arm feels like we're going to see that in the top 20 this week.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you both so much. Brett, it was wonderful having you with us. And yeah, good luck, everyone. Put in, weekly opens tomorrow, Wednesday morning. So put in your lineups, and good luck, everyone. And we'll talk again next week.
Sounds good.
Bye.